G'day everyone. Are some of your pitchers are leaning over like this in your North American pitcher plants? In this video I'm going to be explaining how you can prop up these pitchers to make your pot plants look a lot more presentable. I'll be explaining why they lean over like they do, and also explain that apart from making them look better, it's actually going to be more beneficial for your plant to have the pitchers upright. My name is Jerry from Succulent Fly Traps. Alright, so let's have a closer look at this plant here with leaning pitchers. You can see these two over here are quite an angle, and that's purely because so much rain has fallen that the pitchers have collected rainwater, and in doing so they've become heavier, and hence why they've leant over. Now, they're not all leaning over. Some here in the middle are okay. There's even one over here which is at an angle, but overall it seems to be okay, but just those ones there which are leaning over. Now, as I said earlier, it doesn't harm the plant in any way. The base of the pitchers are still intact. It's just basically still a functioning picture. It's just that by them leaning over it doesn't look so presentable. Now, when I say they're not so functional, I'll explain to you right here. Now, if we zoom in here, you can see that there's a fly lapping up the nectar on this picture, and the way that these plants catch insects is by the insects falling into the pitcher under gravity. And for that to happen most effectively, it's when those pitchers are upright. So the most functioning pitchers are the ones which are erect, like you can see right here. Now these ones over here, sure, they may have nectar still around the base of the pitchers, but a fly is going to land on that and not have any chance of falling into the pitchers where they can get digested. So that's what I meant by leaning pitchers aren't the most functioning ones. So I just want to have a close-up of these hoods. Now, as well as acting as a landing pad for insects, because there's a lot of nectar around the edges there, they also serve another function, and that function is to keep out rainwater. As you can see, there's the lid, and they're quite oversized lids in this Sarracenia flava species. And that's the reason why a lot of these are still okay, even though it has rained a fair bit. However, what happens, we did get rain that was not only torrential, but it did come at an angle. So the rain was coming in at an angle like this. And in doing so, some of that rain ended up going inside the pitchers. And that's the reason why we have these leaning pitchers right here. Okay, so far I've mentioned that excessive rain can cause your pitchers to lean over. Another reason is high winds. North American pitcher plants, because they don't have any branches, they only just have these pitchers, they can be quite vulnerable to excessive winds. So it's a good idea to have your pitcher plants somewhere low to the ground, not exposed too much, and not to have it sort of in an area where it's going to be exposed to high winds, because some of those pitchers can lean over as a result. And by supporting your plant, which I'm going to show you later on in the video, it's going to help your plant to withstand those excessive winds as well. Another reason that you may have leaning pitchers is, like any plant, the older leaves, or pitchers in this case, will start to sort of get older, and as they do, they'll start to sort of fall to the side, paving the way for the new growth in the center of the rhizome. So it's quite normal for that to happen as well. So you may be wondering, well, so what? So what if there's any excess rainwater in the pitchers? All you have to do is pour that rainwater out. Well, you have to remember, being a carnivorous plant, these aren't just leaves. They're the actual mouth and stomach for the plant. So whatever these pitches catch, digestion will occur around the base of that pitcher, and thereby the nutrients will be absorbed by the plant. By pouring out that excess rainwater, you're potentially pouring out any nutrients which have accumulated around the base of that pitcher. So that's why I like to prop up those pitchers rather than pouring out that excess rainwater. And what you'll find in time that the level of that rainwater will start to fall once the sun comes out and stop raining. So just something to be aware of. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some of the tools or the materials that I'm using to prop up my North American pitcher plants. So what I'm just using here some cane, sections of cane, and I bought these from my local hardware store. You get a section of, so you get these are 60 centimeters long, and you get 20 pieces in each bundle, and you do tend to get them in sort of various diameters, but I like to get the thicker ones if possible. Okay, it just helps to use a saw to cut on the edge, which is going to help to secure the fishing line that I use to ultimately secure those pitches. So sections of cane, 60 centimeters in length. I've got this fishing line over here. I am a fisherman, so it's nice to be able to use the material for something else. This one over here is quite thick. Not only does it help to sort of last longer, but it sort of helps to sort of tie the knots that you're going to be securing the plant with. And of course I've got a hacksaw over here, I've got a pair of scissors to help me cut the line, and I've got a marker here to help me sort of gauge where to cut. So that's the material that I'm using. So first of all, what you've got to do, you've got to sort of assess where it's leaning over, and in this plant it's over here. And here's my bamboo cane. So all you've got to do is just gently prop those pitchers up with one hand. Just turn it around a bit, and then with the other, insert that cane right near the edge of the pot until it reaches the bottom of the pot. And by having it right up hard against the edge, it's going to give that bamboo cane a lot more support, and in turn is going to help support your plant. Okay, so here's our bamboo cane, and it's a matter of just assessing where those leaning pitchers are. If I get that out of the way, you can see there's one leaning over here and there's this one over here. So the trick here, guys, is to just secure those leaning pitchers and allowing those other pitchers to function and allow any new shoots to develop, like these ones over here. Okay, it'd be tempting just to get a fishing line, just tie it around like that and sort of attach it like that, but it doesn't sort of look as good. By only attaching those pitchers which need to be attached, it sort of looks better as well. It sort of looks more natural by having those other pitchers freely grow. You're allowing more light in rather than having them all bunched up like that. You're also improving airflow through the pitcher by just securing those leaning pitchers rather than having them all bunched like that. And by improving the airflow, you reduce the possibility of any sort of mold, sooty mold growing on those pitchers which can develop. Okay, so just something to be aware of, guys, okay? Okay, so we've determined whereabouts the pitchers are leaning over. we've placed in our bamboo cane and we've worked out which pitches we're going to be securing. Now when you're securing the pitches, you need to work out where you're going to be tying the fishing line to the bamboo cane. And as a general guide, it has to be below, I'd say about around about 2 centimeters below the ribbing of the pitcher. So I'd say around about here is a good position to attach the fishing line. That's the lower of the pitcher, so that's that one. Of course, this one over here is a lot taller, so it's not really that critical, but you want it below the ribbing of the lowest pitcher, which is around about here. So getting your marker, sure and mark it right there. And that's where we're going to be cutting into the bamboo with a blade. Okay, so we've taken the bamboo cane out and now we're going to cut slightly where that mark is. And here I'm just using a small hacksaw blade. The smaller teeth on the blade don't cut in that aggressively, so it's ideal to attach the line. So you just want to score the outside. You don't want to cut too hard, otherwise you're going to cut the whole cane, and that's why I like to use the thicker ones if possible. So just using the blade, just score around that mark. Helps to do it in one direction like this. And you just want to score the outside. You don't want to cut all the way through because they're can be a bit fragile, these canes, especially if they're thin. So just keep doing that. You may want to turn it slightly as well to sort of get more of a cut. Okay, that's how it looks like close up. Just as I said, on the outside, so the line can go in there without slipping. Okay, so just reinsert that cane into that original hole that you created, like so. Just gently position those pitches that you want to attach to the cane. And that cut is around about there, which is precisely where we want it, just below that the ribbing of that lowest pitcher right there. Okay, so now it's just a matter of getting your fishing line, and what we're going to do is we're going to form a sliding loop that we're then going to attach to the bamboo cane where we made that cut. And by having a sliding loop and having that cut, it's going to prevent this line from slipping, which is pretty important. Okay, so to make this knot, this is the knot that I use for attaching my hooks, by the way. And the bonus is that if you know how to do this, you'll know how to attach your fishing hooks. So here's the tag end, and I'm just going to double it over like that, and here's a tag end over here. Okay guys, now just make that loop nice and large. Doesn't matter if it's large, as I said, it's going to be sliding anyway. So just have it like that. Have that together like that. Now grab your tag end, and then just turn it over that main loop like that. Okay. And then using the other hand, okay, so you've done that, all right. Now turn it around. Now that tag end again, pop it in under those two lines and in that loop that you've made, okay guys, just like that, okay. Now it can get a bit difficult here. Let's try this one again. It's difficult because I'm doing it in front of the camera, but just do that. Get that tag end, and then just thread it through like that under those two main lines. Hold that tag end with your thumb and forefinger, then just pull it tight like that. So hopefully that was clear enough, but that's all you got to do is just do that once. And now what you've created is a sliding loop. You can then open it and slide it, and that will attach to whatever diameter material that you're trying to attach it to. And then it's just a matter of cutting off that tag end. And here's your sliding loop. Okay, so here's the loop that we made earlier. You can see that tag end over there that I've cut, and the line is still attached to that main reel over there. Nothing's been cut there except for that tag that we cut when we were making that noose. So now it's just a matter of sliding that loop over that bamboo cane until it gets to that cut we made earlier. So just position your line into that cut like that, and then secure it with your thumb with one hand, and with the other hand just pull tight on that bamboo cane. Just sort of manipulate that and make it nice and tight, and you can see here how it's secure. It's nice and tight, and that line is snugly in that cut that we made, and that's what's stopping that from slipping. Okay, so here's our stake, and here's that line that we've attached to it. Now it's just a matter of positioning those leaning pitches next to the stake. So there's one of them here that I've got in my hand, and there was another picture over here which is also leaning over. Just position them up against the stake, and then just get your fishing line, and then just gently wind it around those pitches until they're in the position that you want them to be, okay? Don't wind the line too tight. You want to give them a little bit of movement, but try to use the support of that stake as much as you can to secure those pitches. And that looks pretty good like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be then cutting the line, say around about 10 centimeters from where we tied the pitches. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tie a loop at the end, and that loop is just then going to be slided on to that bamboo cane down to where we secured the line. And that's going to do a really good job of keeping those pitches nice and secure and making your plant look a lot more presentable. Okay, so I'm going to cut the line around about here, about 10 centimeters from the end. And now it's just a matter of tying on that loop, which I'm going to show you how to tie now. Okay, so I'm just using the main line here from the reel just to make it easier to follow, to tie this loop. So just imagine that this is the tag end you just cut off, and this other end is attached to your bamboo stake. All right. So to start tying the loop, just get that tag end and then just turn it underneath that line like that. Turn it over that loop again. So now you've got two loops. Just secure it with your thumb and forefinger, and then that tag end, put it between those two loops. And try to secure that tag end with your thumb and forefinger, so you've got two loops now. And then grab that smaller one, and then just pull it through that other line, and just pull that tight. And you should end up with a loop like this. And what you may want to do is just get a bamboo stake, piece of bamboo stake, put it in that loop, and then that helps to tighten that knot. Okay, so that's how to tie a loop. And to tie off and then just use a pair of scissors to cut off that tag end. And that's the finished product. Okay, so we've got the bamboo stake here, we've got the line with the loop attached at the end. It's just a matter of getting those pitches, those leaning pitches. That one, and that one over here. Put in the line around those pitches. And the hardest part here, guys, is to attach the line or the loop at the end. And I think I've left myself a bit short here, so you may want to just cut off the top of the stake. But the whole idea, if I can do this, is just put that loop on there without damaging the picture. There we go, like that. So you can see how they're nicely attached now to the stake. Because only those two have been secured, the fishing line's not so noticeable. And as you can see, it's not leaning so much anymore. And it's a lot more presentable. So now you have an idea of how to prop up your pitches in your North American pitcher plants. Those leaning pitches now will have more of a chance of catching insects. Of course, it's the insects which provides the vital nutrients for your plant. And at the same time, it's going to look a lot more presentable. Now, these pitchers do have lids and they do keep a lot of the rainwater out, but it's only when you get that torrential rain, especially that rain coming at an angle, which is more likely to get into those pitchers and causing them to lean over. And of course, having your plant sheltered, not too elevated where it's exposed to the winds, that will also help not getting any leaning pitches as well. So until next time, everyone, happy growing.